Hey guys, how's it going? So, one of the things that someone had asked me about to talk about, which I thought was really good, was when you have a mood disorder, obviously you get out of whack. And as a result of that, you're out of whack around other people. A lot of times, family and friends and spouses and children and all that, parents and stuff like that. And it can be complicated because they don't have what you have, and it's often very misunderstood. So, there is unfortunately a certain amount of damage or just things that we do that hurt others that sometimes are in control, are in our controls. Other times it's not. Where my take on this is, I think first off, we need to take responsibility for our illness first and foremost, and that means doing the things that we need to do to stay healthy. Making sure we've got a proper diagnosis, we're taking our meds, we're, not just sitting around, we're trying to stay active, we're trying to do things so that we're as healthy as we possibly can be. So I think that's the starting point is we can't just expect to be not taking care of ourselves and, have someone else ultimately empathize or be supportive of our situation. Now, on the other hand, there are some parts of this that, when, for example, I know when I go through a depressive state, I'm very emotional and insecure and anxious and sad and it's just often at the worst times possible. So it can be a huge inconvenience, and that can be very frustrating for people that are around you. So I think that, in terms of what I've done to make amends, I guess I just do my best to communicate, and I need to and should communicate proactively when things start to slide. I think that's really, really important, whether it's an anxiety situation, panic attack, you're irritable because of a bipolar swing or whatever, and you're out of, not quite calibrated. You need to make sure that you're proactively letting those people around you that love you know that, hey, stuff's off. And that's part of that whole self-awareness and knowing triggers and stuff like that. So you need to really, really tune into that. But you know what? You're going to make mistakes, and you're going to hurt people's feelings, and you're going to say stuff you don't mean, and it's tough. I know in my first marriage, before I was diagnosed and was on medication, I was not at all moderate. I was huge swings between really high energy, high intense, very irritable, very angry at times, and then very, very depressed. So it was not near as, normalized per se as I am now. So again, I learned that, I couldn't just use my illness as a license to, say things I don't mean. And just like anybody else does, we all make mistakes. We say stuff we don't want to say. And, ultimately we have to have that open dialogue with the people we love just to let them know that we're doing the best we can, and it's going to be a struggle at times. And if you're proactive in communicating, I think you can manage those expectations, and just talk about it. If you don't, that's usually when you're going to have the misunderstanding, and people are going to be less willing to be supportive of the situation if you've said things that are not very nice. Forgiveness is a big thing. I don't care if you have an illness or not. That's, if we're about trying to prove ourselves at being right, this goes way beyond having an illness. Humility goes a long way in conflict resolution. And, point the thumb, not the finger, silly saying goes. I think that really, really plays a role here. So I guess think about those things. That's the stuff that I do. It's not perfect, but I guess I found that the more humility I show about my illness and the more that I try to take responsibility, the more grace that I'm shown when I struggle. God bless everybody.